Today, we're exploring Gerard Manley Hopkins, a poet who uniquely links the Victorian and modern eras. Dr. Rathod, how does Hopkins embody this transition in his work?
Hopkins is fascinating because he carries Victorian doubt into modernism, grappling with existential themes. His poem, The Wreck of the Deutschland, inspired by the tragic death of 5 nuns, captures this transition through its emotional depth and innovative style.
That's intriguing, but given his Victorian roots, how did he reconcile the era's conservative nature with modernist experimentation?
A great question. Hopkins' struggle is evident in his terrible sonnets where he questions God and the inversion of morality. Unlike other Victorians, he doesn't indulge in despair but rather uses it as a vehicle for spiritual inquiry, much like the metaphysical poets.
Could Hopkins be compared to Shakespeare in terms of exploring human suffering, or is that a stretch?
Not a stretch at all. His line, "No worst, there is none," echoes Shakespeare's "Nothing will come of nothing." Yet he diverges by rejecting ultimate despair, maintaining a belief in God despite his doubts, which is a fascinating juxtaposition in itself.
Let's delve into Hopkins' unique concept, inscape. Dr. Rathod, could you unpack this theory for us?
Certainly, inscape is about capturing the unique essence of each object or experience. Hopkins believed everything has a distinct pattern, and his poetic techniques aim to reveal this intrinsic beauty, influencing modernist literature significantly.
It sounds abstract. How did Hopkins translate this theory into his poetic practice?
He employed vivid imagery and innovative syntax to highlight individuality. For instance, in Pied Beauty, he celebrates the dappled things, illustrating inscape through meticulous descriptions of nature's variegated forms.
Yet, some argue that inscape limits the universality of his poetry. How do you see this?
While it's true that inscape focuses on the particular, it also invites readers to find universal truths in specific details. This duality is precisely what makes his work resonate across different contexts and eras.
Moving on, Hopkins, sprung rhythm revolutionized poetic meter. Dr. Rathod, how is this rhythm distinct from traditional forms?
Sprung rhythm differs by beginning each foot with a stressed syllable, followed by varying numbers of light syllables. This approach mirrors natural speech patterns, lending his poetry an organic, dynamic quality.
Could this rhythmic innovation be seen as a precursor to free verse, or does it hold a unique place in poetic history?
While it's a precursor in its break from rigid forms, sprung rhythm is distinctive. It maintains a structured spontaneity, unlike free verse which often lacks predetermined patterns. Hopkins' method offers controlled freedom, influencing poets like T.S. Eliot and Dylan Thomas.
Yet, some critics argue that sprung rhythm complicates readability. What are your thoughts?
It's a valid point. However, its complexity invites deeper engagement with the text, allowing readers to experience the poem's emotional and rhythmic nuances more profoundly.
Finally, let's consider Hopkins' legacy. Dr. Rathod, how has his work influenced modern poets?
Hopkins' innovative use of language and rhythm paved the way for modern poets to experiment with form and sound. His focus on individual experience resonates with the modernist emphasis on subjectivity and fragmentation.
Can you give an example of a modern poet directly influenced by Hopkins?
Certainly, W.H. Auden regarded Hopkins as a major influence, particularly in his use of meter and religious themes. Auden's early work reflects Hopkins' syntactical inventiveness and thematic depth.
However, some argue that his religious themes are less appealing to secular audiences. How do you view this challenge to his influence?
While his religious focus might seem limiting, it also invites diverse interpretations, allowing readers to explore broader existential questions beyond specific dogmas. This flexibility ensures his continued relevance.